Hey, what's going on, guys? I am Jake from TodaysiPhone.com. I promise that by next week I will have invested in a haircut, and here's the big news this week. Now, obviously, with WWDC just around the corner, a lot of rumors are flying around about what Apple's going to announce, what it's going to look like, is it going to be a new device, or just new iOS, or what? So this week, MG Siegler over at TechCrunch basically came out and said that no, there will not be a new iPhone, but there will be a new iOS, and it is definitely something to keep an eye on. According to him, this event is going to be the thing that pins iOS and macOS 10 together. We are definitely going to see the iCloud service that Apple's been working on, along with a lot of awesome new things in iOS 5, including a new notification system. Finally! As far as other details go, they're pretty scarce, but it's not too long until the event, so just keep tight and we will see a bunch of awesome new things very soon. Now, speaking of Apple's iCloud music service, this week Business Week released an article detailing what we could expect from the service, and I gotta say, it sounds really awesome. As you probably know, all the major music labels have signed on for this, and what they're saying is going to happen is that it's going to take your entire iTunes library and put it in the cloud. But what's more, you're not going to have to upload any songs or anything because the service will scan your current iTunes library and just put it all in the cloud for free. And also, if any of your songs in the iTunes Music Store are of kind of low quality, the iCloud service will automatically upgrade your song to the highest possible quality when they sync it to the cloud service. Now, keep in mind that this whole free thing isn't set in stone. You know, you could have to pay for it, or it could only be free for MobileMe subscribers or whatever. I'm not sure what the deal is there, but either way, this sounds really awesome, and it makes me very happy that I did not shell out the extra money for a 32 or 64 gigabyte iPad, because if I'll be able to get all my songs in the cloud, then I don't need that storage. One thing that I'm wondering now is, if a lot of people adopt this, is Apple going to sell the higher capacity iPhones, iPod Touches, and iPads? You know, if people can keep their music in the cloud, I can't see very many people springing for the 64 gigabyte iPad. So I wonder how that will affect sales, or whether or not Apple will even offer those higher capacity products in the next round of product cycles. What do you guys think? Are you going to subscribe to something like this even if it costs money? And if you do, is this going to impact your decision on whether or not to go for the higher capacity iPod or not? Let me know in the comment section down below. Alright, moving right along, it seems to be the general consensus that the iPhone 5 will not make an appearance at WWDC this year, but that doesn't mean that iPhone 5 rumors have completely stopped, because they never stop. So this week we have a couple interesting rumors regarding the form factor for Apple's next iPhone. The first story, coming out of 9to5Mac, has Orange CEO Stéphane Richard saying that the next iPhone will be smaller, lighter, and thinner than the current model. Now, a lot of people have been assuming that the next iPhone will in fact be sort of like an iPhone 4S, where it would be the same form factor and look basically the same as the iPhone 4, but have a faster chip inside and maybe a larger screen. But what he's saying is, because Apple and other carriers are working on a smaller SIM technology, that they are going to implement this into the next iPhone by releasing a thinner and lighter device. Now, with all the hype surrounding this story, one 9to5Mac reader took the information and used it to make a mock-up of what the iPhone Nano could look like. Now, as you can see, everything that makes it an iPhone is there, including the front-facing camera and the home button, but everything is just miniaturized. Now, keep in mind that this is just a mock-up and it's not a final product by Apple or anything, but I think it's safe to assume that if Apple was to release an iPhone Nano, it would look something like this. Now, we've been hearing iPhone Nano rumors forever, since the iPhone was first announced, and they've never ever come to anything. And I think that's because when the first iPhone was released, Apple found the perfect mix between, you know, portability but usability with a screen size like that. So I don't think they're going to go any smaller than this, especially with the trend of touchscreen cell phones going bigger, 4-inch, 4.5-inch screens. I really can't see them going smaller, especially when a large percentage of their customer base is calling for a 4-inch screen iPhone. Now, looking at this mock-up picture, it reminds me a lot of the Veer, a WebOS device, and the Veer is basically a Palm Pre miniaturized. I mean, this thing is really small. It looks like a kid's toy almost. And I was able to get some hands-on time with that device, and it seems like they sacrificed some of the functionality for the portability and the size of the device. And I don't think Apple's going to go that route. I really don't think we're going to see an iPhone Nano. But then again, with Apple, it's really anyone's guess. Would you be psyched if there was an iPhone Nano, and, you know, would that be something you'd be interested in buying? Or do you share the mindset of most of the people out there that they need to make a bigger iPhone rather than a smaller iPhone? Alright, next, Google announced their mobile payment Google Wallet this week, and for those of you who don't know what that is, it utilizes a cell phone's internal NFC or near field communication chip, and it basically lets you use your phone as a credit card. You just have to tap your phone to a sensor, and the sensor can pick up what credit card you have set to your phone and charge you via that chip. Now this tech is very cool, and it's been rumored to be included in an iPhone for a couple of years now, but the big question now is, now that Google has gotten to it first, will Apple include this in the next iPhone, and if so, how will they differentiate from Google's Google Wallet? Now personally, I really hope they do include this in the next iPhone. I hate carrying around a wallet and a credit card and stuff because, you know, it's just extra stuff to put in your pockets. I always carry my phone with me, so if I was able to just use my phone as my credit card, that'd be, you know, very, very awesome. I think this is a lot like the 4G situation where we'll definitely see it in an iPhone in the future, we just don't know when. And finally, how better to end a video focused entirely on iPhone 5 rumors with an iPhone 5 rumor. DigiTimes is reporting that Apple is investigating curved glass for the next iPhone, and this could mean one of two things. Either the front glass panel will be curved like on the Nexus S, or the back glass panel will be curved to kind of bring back the old curved design of the 3G and the 3GS. One of the things about the iPhone 3G and the 3GS that was so appealing was the curved back fits so well in your hand, and obviously that form factor was lost on the iPhone 4, but if they could bring it back for the iPhone 5, I mean, I think a lot of people would be very happy about that, because the build quality on the iPhone 4 is obviously very high, but if you could take the awesome build quality of that device and pair it with the design of the previous generations, I think it's a perfect compromise. Well, that's it for this week, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget the links to all of these stories I talked about are in the description down below. If you want to connect with me a little bit more, talk about iPhone 5, iOS 5, WWDC, or really anything, feel free to follow me on Twitter at TIPJake. I love to answer questions and talk to you guys. And for more news, views, reviews, and much more information about anything Apple, definitely head over to TodaysiPhone.com.